Okay, so for making a Valorant sign, you would want to have like whatever clip, obviously, because you don't want it to be a random thing. Well, I mean, you could have it be a random thing, but usually you want it to flow in. So let's say, for example, I was editing to this clip, this duper clip right here.
I suck!
Where he's using the sheriff. And he takes out that guy, dashes away. I would probably do like the sign. I'd have it shoot the two, and then on the dash I'd have it be some sort of transition, whatever transition you want to be. But we're going to use that scene as our sort of, I guess, placeholder of what our sign is going to be. And then we would go in, we'd find our folder where we have our Valorant stuff. I'll have in the description a Google Drive to a bunch of Valorant models and stuff. I don't know if it's fully up to date, but I got this in a Valorant editing server. And then I don't remember which characters it was that were dying. Looks like a clove and a sky, maybe. No, it's a jet. Jet and a sky. I'm not gonna add clove in there because I don't think I have clove on here. But we get a sky, a pen sky. I'm not gonna do facial animations or anything, so I'll just do the simple. And then you just append it into your thing. You go top left file to append. And then I'll do the same with the jet. File. And we get jet. We got jet in there as well, and then I gotta get the map. I don't know if I have breeze. I might have to find breeze. Hopefully I have breeze. I do not have breeze. I'm gonna need to get breeze. And I'm assuming this is gonna be old breeze. This is probably gonna be old breeze, so it might be kind of messed up on the scene. But it should be good regardless, because it'll be blurred in the background and whatnot. It shouldn't be too big of a deal. Anyways, while I'm waiting for that to download, I can start working on the actual animations of the deaths. Because with the Valorant models, they're a little weird. They don't have inverse kinematics, and I don't know how to do rigging really. So the way that I go about doing it with the Valorant models as compared to the Marathon models is I go object mode, obviously, because you can click on the actual like character model and then their skeleton. You want to click on their skeleton and then go top left, click pose mode, and then this will allow you to like position their bones individually. And you kind of have to have a semi-decent understanding of anatomy, or I guess how body parts are meant to move in real life, or else you're going to end up with weird stuff. So with the arm, this part, the shoulder joint, you can rotate it whichever direction you want. Make sure it doesn't go too far, or else you'll end up like, you know, weird ass looking shit. And then you can tweak this a little bit. Oh, that is not, that's the collar. There's the shoulder. You could tweak this a little bit to get like a little bit of different stuff. Don't change it too much. Your mesh will end up very deformed. And then this bone right here, the elbow, do not twist it on any other axis besides, oh, make sure to set to local as well if you're going to be doing stuff, because it will actually be like the proper positioning. But make sure to never move the elbow joint at like a weird angle like this, because elbows do not do that. They only move in 180 degrees along this axis. And then it looks like they don't have twists on the Valorant models to like help with the forming meshes, so you probably don't want to bend too much. And in the hand, you can rotate it whatever. Just do rotation. Don't do actual movement of the bones. Leave that to the root bone, which I believe would be this one. No, it's not that one. It's this one. Yeah, you leave the movement to the root bone, or whatever the fuck that is. I don't know what it is, but that's the bone that I use on the Valorant models for actually like moving between like movements. Otherwise, I'd just have all the poses. They'd be like doing a falling animation, and they'd not move at all. Yeah, so I'm gonna start with the before they get shot, because I'm going to put this into flow frames after I export it, so that I can time remap and stuff. So let me get their like idle stance real quick. Set up. And I'm just making small tweaks to, you know, different body parts to like sell movement and stuff. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, because there's going to be a lot of movement in your scene. Usually whenever you're editing, the scenes aren't super long compared to, like, say if I was to make a wallpaper or something, like Steam wallpaper like I did with my marathon stuff. You kind of have to be more, I guess, intentional with the movements that you do. But with this, you don't need to be super intentional. You just move wherever. And then we're gonna move this down a little bit. Ooh, that is not correct. Maybe it's this one. Nope, it's not that one either. Which one is it? Weapon. This one? Okay, that one. Move this down a little bit, because I want to have the legs be bent a little bit. I think this is the toe, so I can sort of get that going. And then bend this. Sort of get this looking like they were holding a gun. I'm not gonna add guns into this scene because I don't know like what guns they had. You would press A, and then after you press A, make sure you're clicked into this like camera angle. You press I, and that'll keyframe. So now whenever you move across the timeline, and usually in Blender you're going to be exporting in 24 FPS, which is 1 second. And whenever you're in After Effects, you're going to want to make sure that, you know, the actual timing of the scenes adds up with the timing of your music. Else you're going to have to do time remapping, and that can get a little fucked up because of the camera movements in Blender that you're doing. Whenever you time remap for the like movements of the animations and the camera movements, it doesn't separate the two being time remap. There is a graph editor in Blender, but it's very confusing to me, so I don't use it, because it has you graphing every single individual bone plus every single axis instead of just graphing the entire movement altogether. I don't know how to do that yet. I'm still learning. Anyways, back to whatever I was on there. I don't remember. I'll just stick on here. Don't need any of that stuff there. There is weapon targets, and then there's whatever these are. I don't know what those are. We've got our starting pose, and I'm assuming this is just gonna be like a 24-second scene. I'm just gonna do like an ease it out. For the actual like After Effects edit. So I'm going to go here to this 24 frame, 1 whole second. Actually, maybe I'll go a little bit more. I'll go 48 seconds, because I also have to do the jet as well immediately after. Actually no, I will go 24 seconds because the camera is going to be jumping past the sky to the jet. This is my intention for this scene. Anyways, we rotate the body. They got headshot in the clip, so they're going to be, you know, their head flying back. I think that's about good for head movement. And then we do this. Make sure to tilt the head back. And then hair, just move the hair down so that it's, you know, not floating in the scene. That would look weird. And then arm movements. Just get our arm movements looking semi-decent. Make sure not to rotate this on an axis that it wouldn't rotate on. You're going to have it on the red axis in this situation. Oh, that is not the right bone. You can hide the bones that you don't want to see, usually by going into the bone collection, but with the Valorant models, they don't have it to where it actually like works like that for whatever reason. Like they don't hide even though they should. But otherwise, if you don't want like all these green bones, because these are all just like to help with mesh deformation, you can just press H, and then you can press Alt H to bring them back if you ever want them back. Anyways, I'm just gonna move all the fingers. And then we gotta do this arm as well. Is this an eye? Oh, this is an eye. Okay. Also do some eyeball stuff too. There's even a mouth. What? Oh, this one's a lot more complex. There's no teeth in. What the hell? She got like rat teeth. I did not know Sky had rat teeth. Okay. This is completely unnecessary, by the way. I'm just doing this because I don't even fucking know why I'm wasting time. Nobody's gonna see that in the millisecond this is on screen with all the framers. That's more for like if you're doing something that's more slow paced. You really do not need a lot of attention to detail on your animations if you're going to be doing like something like in my last edit, the Cali Man edit. Like that breach one, that was so simple to set up. Anyways, and now I would want to rotate this back on the root, and then I need to make sure to pose the legs to where they aren't going into the ground, and then I'm gonna pose this leg going up because they're like falling backwards. It's also a good idea to have references, so whenever I'm doing my animations I like to look up references. In this situation I don't, because this is like a pretty simple sort of thing to do. It's just like a falling animation. But typically you would want to have a reference, as it will help a lot. And then I'll just keyframe that. And then obviously, as you can see, it needs like the actual movement backwards a little bit. So I will take the root and let's see, got it right here. We're going to, oh, you know what, I kind of need to rotate this a little bit. So, and then what is this going for? That's for more of that type of rotation, I see. Anyways, I'm gonna take the root, and I'm gonna move it back and move it up, and then I will add eye, and then now you can see it's got the sort of movement going, and then we can kind of see what it would look like if I were to go object mode, hide, just press Alt H to bring it back after you pressed H to hide. You can kind of see what the animation is going to look like once I bring it into the scene. It's a pretty simple sort of thing. I'm just gonna, you won't even really see the legs. I'm probably gonna have the cam like here, and then going up like this over the head. Now the hard part is getting the jet to look decent, because the jet gets hit after the sky gets hit. And so I'm gonna need to have jet doing something instead of just standing completely still prior to the sky getting hit, because the jet is like slightly behind the sky. So I think what I will do is I'll move the jet here and then go to pose mode, top left, and I might append a weapon, because you're probably going to want to use weapons in your thing, so I guess it would be useful to show you how to do that as well. So we will hit them with a Blunder. We get weapons, get guns, get rifles, and we'll just get the cyberpunk thing. Oh, those are animations, okay. Now where are the actual weapons? Are they here? Red dot. Oh, that's also animations. I don't know where the actual guns are. Those are all just like the preset animations, which in that pack you will get preset animations that you can just copy and paste onto the skeletons from like Valorant, because this is all exported from Valorant. I just need to find where the weapons are. Those are all the stuff like the brim mollies. Okay, hold up. I'm getting tweaked out. Valorant Blender. We got weapon, melee. Is it all just animations? It's just animation. Animation. Okay, it's in this folder. My bad. Okay. So go back to our append and go to Valorant, your folder where you have all your Valorant assets. And then we will get a... I want to do like an op or something. Where's the operator? Aerosol operator? That shit's butt. Why do they got the aerosol operator? Infantry up, normal up. They don't got no cool operators, whatever. Append, there it is. And then the way that you append or work with weapons, you can manually move them. I think in this case I will, but typically what you would do is you would add a constraint, not a bone constraint. Well, actually maybe you would add a bone constraint. What kind of bones does this have on it? Does it have a root? It does have a root. Trigger eject. Check, bolt head, stat track. Come buddy. Okay, skeleton. I don't think you do it for that one, but you would add a constraint. Go to the constraints tab, the blue little circle thingy. Add object constraint, child of, and then you would select your skeleton of the character. So in this case it's Jet. And then you would look for weapon hand. So let's see, what arm do they usually have the trigger on? It's usually the right. So right hand target. Set inverse. And then start positioning your weapon. I don't exactly know how you do it with the two-handed weapons, like the op. But with the sheriff, this is how you would do it. But you pose it in their hand or whatever, how you would want to pose it. You obviously pose their fingers and stuff around it. And then whenever you go into pose mode for the jet and you move the hand, what the fuck? Okay, hold up. This isn't good. Why is it not moving? Hello? Let me reset that. Child of. Set. And. Oh, it might be the weapon point. Then set inverse. And then edit mode, pose mode. Yeah, it was the weapon point, not the hand bone. My bad. It's different on different models. The Valor models, I guess, have something named weapon point. With the Marathon models, you just put it on the hand bone. But I don't want it to be a child of, because I don't know. I think I'd need to have to keyframe the influence of the bone constraint, and in this situation, the upper body's not. Actually, maybe that does work, because I could hit them with one of these. I think I'll just do like Jez ADSing type shit. Wish that was on me. Maybe this is what I need. Yeah, no, that's not what I need. See, this is the problem with non-inverse kinematics things. I do not know how to like do this sort of posing. I don't know how to do very linear posing. Anyways, just lean this a little forward. Get this moved up. I need to get this rotated into the right spot for like the hand to make sense. It would be like something like this, and then you rotate this. Might even be a little too much on this one. There we go. Tilt this down. Don't want her to be flagging the shit out of her. And then we got to get this up so that it's positioned. This kind of gotta be, I don't know if I'm gonna stretch that, to be honest. Just move this. And I kind of gotta move Oh, maybe I move the shoulder blade. Gotta do something. There we go. That's looking a little better. Tilt the head. It's not quite perfect, but it should be good enough. And then I would just pose the fingers how they're supposed to be posed. That is not the hand. Get this going a little bit more of that. Get the shoulder blade set up to how it should. That's pretty close to looking decent. Again, there's going to be like blurs and effects going on, so you don't need to get like this much attention to detail at all. You could probably just pose the hands like this, but if you really wanted to, make sure to do it, because you know, it really adds to it if you have decent attention to detail. But like this is what it's going to look like from the camera angle. You're probably not going to notice. Like you'll have the dude dying here, and then you just see her right there. You don't really notice that the hands are all fucked up. I am still going to change it though, because I'm going to be using this in an edit. I'm going to reuse that scene. And then with fingers, I'm still kind of a noob when it comes to fingers. The ones that I use on the marathon model are absolutely fucked, and don't actually bend the correct way or anything, so I have to do it like, it's really weird. And then some of the fingers move the other fingers and stuff. Really messed up models for the fingers. I don't know why, but these models seem to have pretty decent fingers. You know, they actually bend where you want them to bend whenever you bend the bone, so you can sort of get what you're looking for. And typically with fingers, you know, these parts of the fingers don't bend more than one axis, so you'll only bend them on the blue or whatever it is that's bending towards. You know, it curls and contracts, or it extends. It doesn't sort of flippy floppy, whereas these finger parts do kind of. You know, you can get some movement going on this part of the finger, but these part down here do not. These part, you cannot really wiggle them. So just keep that in mind whenever you're posing the fingers. And then here, the hand's kind of like fucked. It's going like in the... Oops, I pressed Z on accident. That put me into a different viewport mode. I like to be in the material viewport mode, personally. I feel like I can see better than compared to this one. But if your computer has problems, just like put it in this mode or this mode, whichever one. Ooh, also, all of the topology is triangles. What the fuck? Ugh. Anyway, we got jet here. I think I'll set a keyframe here. So I press A. Oh, I gotta go to pose mode first. Oh, I'm in pose mode. Why is the sky? I must have selected the sky as well. Pose mode. Press A. Press I to keyframe everything, and then move on to the timeline. I'm gonna move to whenever the sky dies, because we want some subtle movement on the jet. So I'm gonna just move to here, and I'll set this up, and I will set the neck to bend a little bit more to like sort of give the look that she's aiming down the scope even more. And then I will turn this, and then turn this. And then I gotta move this again. I think it should be good if I just do this. Might have to do a little bit more. There you go. And this thumb kind of got messed up. Okay. And then A, keyframe 24 frames. So now she's got a little bit of movement. Maybe I'll do the... yeah, I'll do the legs as well. So I would need to move this forwards. Oh, that is not the right part. I gotta do the root. That's the weapon. There it is, root. Move it forward slightly. And then move this leg back here. And then move this here. And move the toe. And then see how that looks. It looks fucked, but should be fine. Shouldn't be too noticeable. I do kind of need to move this hand forwards a little bit. You know what? This is going to be kind of hidden. I could just move this back. Usually you don't want to move those parts of the body with the movement. You usually want to just use rotation because it causes like really weird looking stuff. But in this case it's hidden behind the gun, so I don't really care about it that much being moved. And now the hand doesn't like slide along the gun. Let's hide, make sure we didn't do anything too wrong. Yeah. Looks a little better. And then I'm gonna go to 48 frames and I'm gonna Alt H to unhide the bones. And now I need to sort of change the influence of the child of constraint that I'm using. So I would keyframe on 24 because that's whenever she's gonna start her animation of being like hit in the head. And then keyframe here, and I turn down the influence. So now, oh, right. Turn down the influence at your keyframe that you want, and then press I or right click and press replace keyframes. It's a little fucked whenever it's not on the bones, because I don't know. Blender's weird sometimes, in my opinion. Like there's certain things that on other stuff like After Effects make a lot of sense, and then Blender just doesn't do them. Anyways, she also gets headshot, I believe, in the clip. So we are going to do, you know, same sort of animation here of flying back. I actually kind of like what's going on here with the character sort of turning to the side off of the hit. So I'm gonna do a bit more of that. Maybe I shouldn't have done that with the root. It looks a little weird doing it with the root. Do it with this. gonna need to change the shoulder. Where is the shoulder? Is this the shoulder? Yeah. I'm just tweaking the hair a little bit. This is completely unnecessary. I just think it would add to it. Tweaking the hair to like make it look like it's flying up. Oh, that's how you move the teeth. Okay, sick. Okay. Learning new things as we go. You alt click, by the way, to sort of like reset your zoom speed and stuff. Alt and then middle mouse button while selecting something to reset your like speed. And if you ever are like zooming and stuff and you can see my zoom like stops, you just do it again. And it'll typically like reset the zoom speed. You alt and then middle mouse button. But if that doesn't work, select up here, cursor, select your cursor where you want it to go, and then click view, align view, center view to cursor, and it will center your view on the cursor, and that will reset your like zooming speed and stuff. Because it's so the amount of times whenever I started Blender and I got stuck because my goddamn zoom wouldn't zoom anymore, and I was like, what the hell do I do? Yeah, that's how you deal with that bullshit. Anyways, keyframe this, and then we want to see if it looks decent. Again, we have like the character sort of sliding. So we're going to want to, I think this occasion I'll do object mode for it, because that'll move the entire skeleton, and I'm going to rotate slightly. And then keyframe. Oh, you know what? Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. I forgot to keyframe like its starting position, and then I keyframe whenever I rotate. Keyframe. There we go. Doesn't look like it's sliding too much. And now I just need to work on the gun, and this one's super simple. Whenever you throw a gun out of your hands while falling backwards, in this sort of situation, the gun, you would think, would go up, like here, and then you just sort of, it was in this sort of mode, so you're going to rotate it to the left, maybe rotate the barrel down slightly, like that, and then that should be good. Let's just keyframe. See how it looks. Oh, again, I forgot to keyframe its starting position. So let's keyframe the start position. And then we go and we do our movements. Just move this up, move this sideways, because, you know, flies out of the hands, it's going to move sideways a little bit. Move this that way, move this down a little bit because it's kind of too high. And then just keyframe. And then it looks a little awkward, so because it looks a little awkward flying out of the hands, I'm going to add a keyframe in between. This is how you would do keyframing if you're doing more advanced stuff, is you go between frames to add more data. Sort of like whenever you're masking something or rotoscoping in After Effects, there's going to be times whenever the roto isn't on the model correctly, you have to add data there because it's going between two different rotos that aren't really working. So in this situation, it's going between two different movements that aren't working. I'm going to go here, and I will see if this looks better. Now it's just like bouncing. I don't know what's going on here. I'll just keyframe again. Let's see, where is it? Right here, right there. Okay, we'll move this up a little bit. See if that looks better. I do not know what is going on with these keyframes. These are crazy. Rotate this slightly, move it up. I guess this is going to be one of those ones where you kind of got to manually keyframe it. And then I'll rotate this upside down to really stick with that movement. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with this goddamn gun, but it's tweaking out. Let's do this, rotate this down. I think it's the influence. I did it with influence instead of doing it how I would normally do it, so it's just like weird because the influence affects where like the transforms are. Bro, what is going on with this thing? Okay, we gotta move this keyframe a little bit, I guess, because it's tweaking out. See if that looks any better. Need it to go more here. Maybe rotate a little bit like that. Okay, I kind of do need to just delete these keyframes that I did because they're fucking it. And then I guess move this here, move this here. Move it a little further, potentially help. And then I just gotta add a frame where it's like up higher. And that should be good. Looks okay, doesn't look phenomenal. It sort of like bounces after being out of the hand, but it is what it is. We got the animations done. Let's get the map. I would usually do it, the animations after I got the map. Also make sure to save. I forgot. And then I'm just gonna save that in documents. File, need to check to see if I got the map. We do got the map, so we're gonna extract. And then I'm gonna move this personally into my Valorant Blender file. If I could find it, I'm blind. There it is. Move it to maps and add that one in there. And then you do the same thing that you did with the characters. You append documents. Go to your file. With the maps, sometimes they will have like specific spots. Like in this case, we have, you know, specifically A site, specifically B site. I forget which site has the fucking things. What site is this? A site? Okay, so I'm just gonna import all the A site stuff. Do that. I like to do my own lighting, so I usually will delete the lights. Top right will be the collections. You'll have the sky, jet, sniper, and then here will be, you know, it'll have the collection of lights. Some things will have the collections named. It looks like Valorant, they do. But anyways, you have your two characters with their animations and stuff. So now what you need to do is you need to go to the spot where you're going to place them. So in this, I need to add the tunnel. Okay. We don't got the tunnel. It looks like this is updated Breeze though, which is nice. I thought, you know, Breeze A-Site would have Breeze A-Site stuff, like that side of the map, but it looks like that is not the case. Hopefully whenever I bring the tunnel in, it is actually in the correct location and not, you know, sort of weird. Oh, that's the wrong tunnel. Okay, maybe it's attacker side. Okay, we could just delete that. Oh, I accidentally started animation. You press space to start animation, by the way, if you do not know that. I'll just delete that. Append. Gotta do this shit again. God damn. Maps. Breeze. Nope, wrong one. Scenes. Art attack spawn, art attack path B, art attack path A. Okay, hopefully this is the correct one. Sure is. And then I'm going to add an HDRI, I think. However you do that, I believe it should be disconnect. I don't remember how to add HDRIs. New. Maybe I can just drag drop, because I believe this pack does have HDRIs for all the different maps. And an HDRI is just basically like the reflections and stuff. If you're using Eevee, I believe, like the lighting of the sky instead of it just being like black. Yeah, HDRIs. Ooh, these are my own personal HDRIs that I just added. Whatever, these should be fine. Whatever, I'm lazy. I'll just do the lighting myself with looks. Let's check what it looks like. Yeah, it's looking a little dark. Anyways, I lost my train of thought, adding in the goddamn thing. Head over into where they die, do your cursor, and then select your armature, Shift S, and you'll be able to teleport it to your cursor. So there you go. And then now the problem is with the jet one, since I did the posing with the object thingy instead of with the pose mode, it has fucked with everything. So now I need to go here and I need to clear these keyframes. Okay, it still has the animation data, which is good. Just select that, and we gotta go back in here, and we gotta put this down. Shift S, selection is it underground? What am I looking at here? What the hell did I do? I fucked with something. Okay, in this case, it's being difficult. If you ever run into this issue, go to the top left, click add a empty, and then just go here, move it down close to the jet. It's kind of hard sometimes because it's 3D. You could also just put your cursor on the jet and Shift S it. But anyways, that's close enough for me. I'm gonna move it down slightly because I want the rotation. And then you click your jet, click constraints, and you're going to make it a child of the empty. So click the empty, and now whenever you move the empty, it moves the jet, and now it's not all fucked. That's one way that you can fix that. And now the jet is moving in, but now we have the issue of the jet is like standing weird. So we just rotate the empty till they're standing up straight. Ooh, I forgot about the gun keyframes. Whatever. I'm lazy, so we're just gonna leave it as is. I'm a bum. Just do this, I guess. Keyframe the empty's rotation, and then I'm gonna rotate the jet a little bit. Okay, and now it's the fun part. Do add camera, and then we're going to do the cam movements. This is always great. Okay, let's see. We got sky here. I'm gonna use the, by the way, you press numpad 0 to go in and out of the camera. Numpad 0. I think I'll do slight rotation on this one. This looks like a good spot to keyframe the start. Maybe I'll go back a little bit. This looks like a good spot to start. We'll go here, 24 frames forward, and we will go forward, and then we will go to the right, and we'll go up slightly. Go up a little bit more. Tilt down. Keyframe this just to see what the movement looks like. Okay, we got a jet. I'm not a huge fan of the movement. I think what I'll do is I'll keyframe about halfway and add in data of it looking the other direction at the sky. And have it go up a little bit more. And I think I'll overshoot the rotation a little bit just so that it lasts a bit longer, and then insert the keyframes by pressing I again and see how I like this. I think I will move this a little bit. And then I just need to get the chem of jet being dead looking decent. Let me hide this so that I can see what they look like. Keyframe that. We'll have this. Okay, I think that looks okay. Now I got to get the lighting done. So I go into, I render in cycles. You can render in Eevee as well. I think cycles looks good. I really like how they do the lighting in cycles. It's more realistic. Did I just add a speaker? I didn't even know those were a thing. Light, I'm gonna add a area light for the inside of the tunnel. If you understand 3-point lighting, I'd recommend for like nighttime type of scenes to do 3-point. But I'm not doing a nighttime type scene. I'm doing, what is it? This. So it's day. Sort of dark in there. It's sort of like a bluish. Looks like it's already kind of got that going on though. Just up the exposure a little bit maybe. Yeah. will go to the Control C, Control V, and I'm going to go to the back of the tunnel and put down one in the back of the tunnel as well, so that it's not like super duper dark. But the one in the back of the tunnel, I think I'm going to make a yellowish light because there is going to be sunlight typically coming from back here. So I will tint it slightly yellow, like that. And then I don't think I need to do any more lighting, unless I wanted to. I will add a cube and scale it up super big so that it covers the entire cave. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click shading while selecting the cube, new, and then I'm going to press, delete on this, Shift A, and then I'm going to search for a volume scatter. What this will do, it will add fog. You select it in the volume and then put it to like 0.05 or something. And now you have fog. Now obviously this is a little bit too high, so I'm going to select the cube again. And in this part, this is the material properties. I will select volume and I can adjust it from here. Instead of having to go into that menu, I'm going to put 0.02. See how I like that? Maybe 0.01. And then make the fog like bluish tint. And I think I should definitely add another light. I will add a point light for this one. And I will make it yellowish. And I will make it be coming from behind where the camera is. That is not yellowish, that's greenish. There we go. Make it come from behind the camera. And up the exposure a little bit. And does that look good? That looks okay. Okay. And then 1920 by 1080. Got all that. Make sure to set it to whatever folder you want it to export to. I'm going to choose this one. And make sure all your render settings are how you want them. I don't need it to be super detailed, so I'm going to take the max samples and divide them by 6. Nope, not 6. 6 is too much. I'll divide them by 5. Nope, I won't do 5. Maybe I'll just divide them from 4. Set them to what the viewport render is, and then put the noise threshold to 0.2 because it's going to denoise. The noise will just be like artifacting in stuff, so you'll have like light banding and stuff, or like the fog will look like absolute dog shit sometimes. Or like there will be parts where like reflections look weird. I don't need super crazy noise because again, having artifacting in the type of edits that I do isn't a big deal because that just it makes it seem like I put a framer or something, you know what I mean? It's not that big of a deal. But if I was doing something like, more of a slow-paced song like a Joji song or something with minimal framers, you would want it to look very beautiful and nice and not have any artifacting. And then I've got my render settings how I want them, got it where I want it to go, and so I render animation. Make sure it's a image plane, or not an image sequence. I don't think you can render cycles as non-image sequences. The jet's kind of looking the wrong way, but it's whatever, it's not a big deal. No, I just gotta wait for it to render. This is probably gonna take a little bit, but that's how I do it. And then I just put it in looks in After Effects, and I add like, you can add depth of field in Blender. I don't like doing it because it makes right, I forgot. You're gonna want to take your folder that you put it in, and you're going to run it through flow frames so that you can time remap better. It just makes it to where you don't have to render like 200 frames on Blender, because rendering 200 frames on Blender kills your computer and takes like 6,000 years. I just put it through flow frames, because flow frames has a auto duplication deletion. Dude, that, I was telling you I hate time remap workflow. That was the part I hated. I saw flow frames had that and I was like, holy shit. Anyways, that should be it. You just, once it's exported, you take the folder that has your image sequence and you export it into flow frames, and you set your frame rate, the base frame rate 24, and then set it to however many frames you want it to go up to, and then you do your twisting and your time remapping and everything. You should be good. You can see some of the artifacting here with these bubbles and shit. And that's everything. This is a long ass video.